All right.
Okay. Alrighty. Welcome to the interview. This is the interview.
The
Okay.
one and only interview.
The one and only. There are no other interviews. So I have with me today here. This is Bradley McCormick. This is his channel. Brad, why don't you um, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, why are you writing, and then we can get into some questions.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Bradley McCormick. I'm from kind of the entire Western United States. Um, my family's moved around a lot, and I feel that's given me quite a unique perspective on cultures and different people, how they interact with each other. Um, I really like to tell stories and to watch people and see what stories they have. And that kind of led me into a life of uh, telling stories professionally. Um, Miracle Chronicles is meant to be a platform that I can tell a bunch of short stories and give people something that they can enjoy. Yeah, I think that gets what you were saying.
Yeah, I think so. So we've got you grew up around the United States, and you wanted to talk about the different stories and different things that you've been thinking about in your head. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's pretty correct.
Cool. And so what kind of stories are you telling? Tell me. I know you've got a book coming out. Tell me a little bit about your book, and also a little bit about maybe some other stories you want to talk about.
Yeah, of course. The book that you're referring to is Dr. Ben Harrowing's Tale. This has been a story that has been under the works for about 3 years now. Took me about 3 months to write the first draft, and I did that about my first year in college, just kind of as a hobby, as an outlet to get some of that stress from the first year out. Um, the first year of college can be rough for a lot of people, and for me, it was rather rough. I didn't really have many friends, and so kind of reaching out into my hobby was my outlet for doing that, and so I had a lot of time to write. It was really nice. Harrowing is a tragedy. It's about a man who discovers bottled emotions, how to scientifically extract emotions from people and put that into a bottle and then give it to other people. Uh, and in the book, I explore what that can do to society and how having exact control of your emotions could be a bad thing. Um, I found it incredibly interesting to write, and uh, it was really interesting for me. The first rough draft that I wrote was just pure passion, and there was a lot of stuff that just didn't need to be in there when I wrote it. And I learned a lot about writing in that first 3 months. And then the editing process came, which ended up being the rest of those 3 years, up until just a month or two ago, when I can say that we finally got through all of the major editing. And that process was a lot of learning, a lot of discovering what is good to include in books, what good to include. Um, and I would say that Dr. Harrowing is by no means a master level work, but it is a good story. I've really enjoyed reading it through my second time. And every time I edited it, I really enjoyed the story plot lines, and it really hooked me. And from what my those who have read the story have told me, they really enjoyed it too.
Awesome, awesome. I'm working my way through it. I'm uh, I'm a really bad out loud reader, but I'm trying to put an audiobook together for us. And but anyway, so is that what's your hopes for the channel more in depth with more with Mirror Pool Chronicles? You want to tell stories on there. Is it going to be just books that you read, or that you've come up with yourself, or what's your idea for it?
Yeah. So, Miracle Chronicles, the idea that I have behind this, the driving force for why I've made this, is a lot of just advertising in a way. Um, I really hate those normal ads where people are like, "Hey, here's a book, go read the book," and it doesn't really give you anything. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to create content in a way that would be giving people something. The short stories that I put up on Miracle Chronicles have value to them, independent of the book, independent of um, the advertising that they have. They can be short stories that can be enjoyed on their own. Um, Now, that being said, a lot of them tie into the book. For instance, the last story that I told about Tanner's date. Tanner's is one of the characters that will show up in Ben Harrowing's tale. And knowing that he went on a date with Sarah and what he did in that short story can enrich the book and enrich who Tanner is in your eyes while you read it. And I kind of want to do that with all of the short stories that I have up on Miracle Chronicles. Um, I really want Miracle Chronicles to be a way that I can outreach to those who enjoy my work. I want it to be a way that I can communicate with them, whether that's them commenting on a video and saying they like my stuff and then me commenting back and chatting with them a little bit, or if that's just a way that I can tell them, hey, there's a new story coming out here soon, um, or alert them to new projects that we're working on and find different ways to just interact with people to bring them into that storytelling process.
Awesome, awesome. So is it? It sounds like just stories that you have, um, that you've written, is what you want up on Miracle Chronicles then?
Um, in a way, right now I only have access to stories that I've written,
Mm-hmm.
but if it were to come along that I make friends with somebody and they want to uh, write a story as well, then I would be happy to put some short stories of their work up on Miracle Chronicles to um, help their work get a little bit of traction and move forward. It's really more about the storytelling because I really feel that if we tell a proper story, that it can influence people's lives and for good. And I want to encourage those good stories to be out in the world. Um, I have I have a line of the good of how good of quality I want a story to be before I release it to the public, and that quality is the same that I would expect for any author. And I would be happy to interact with other authors to tell them about that and to put that up on Miracle Chronicles too. It's really more of a way of interacting with the community and letting them know what I'm doing and what I'm up to in that storytelling process.
Cool, cool. Alrighty. Um, so you have the Miracle Chronicles. You've got Doctor Harrowing. What else? Do you have anything to share as far as what comes in the future, or anything else like that? Any other stories?
Yeah, I have a few plans for the next 5 years. Um, Within the next 5 years, I want to get at least three other major stories out. Um, Dr. Harrowing is the first story, and it would be fourth. The next story that we're going to be working on is a SCP podcast series. Um, that one is one that I've been working on for a little bit in the past. I don't have the rough drafts quite done yet, but we're hoping to get that all finished up and finalized and ready for reading and production in October. Um, and then after we get those SCP podcasts done, I want to get another story down. It's called Omir. It's the first story. It's kind of about just a family and what would happen if superpowers were just suddenly granted to people, and if these superpowers had curses that may or may not be related to said power that they gain. Um, I've been working a lot with this on uh, my own, theorizing about it, um, but I haven't been able to get a full rough draft done with that story. a lot of the theories have come from just going out and asking people about what superpowers that they would want if they could just suddenly have one. I'm really excited to get that story all written and done. And then after Omir, I want to write a story about Tanner from Dr. Ben Harrowing. And this one I want to be a story that is a sequel to Harrowing's Tale to get that second book in the Bonds of Connection series started to show that this is going to be something that has multiple facets. Dr. Ben Harrowing in the Bonds of Connection series is meant to be a three-book story.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Awesome. And so is that going to be, um, obviously we started with Dr. Harwing's Tale, then we
Yep.
got Dr. Tanner. Do you know who the third person is yet?
That third person, I have a few thoughts about who I want that to be, but I'd like to keep the focus on Tanner and Harrowing's relationship um, because they're the two closest that have been there. But um, for those of you that read it, you'll find a young girl. Her name's Claire, and some interesting things happen to her. And I'm wanting to focus the third book, a little bit more about her and how she's influenced the traits and what happens throughout Harrowing's and Tanner's story. How she is still a major character in those stories.
Awesome. Well, looking forward to hearing it. Um,
Mhm.
that should be pretty cool. Great.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like to let everyone know before we wrap up?
Um, just like to say, subscribe. Look for us on Patreon. We're going to get a Patreon account up here soon. Um, the link for Dr. Ben Harrowing to buy it on Amazon should be down in the description or in one of the comments. Yeah,
Awesome.
join the journey.
Awesome. I'm looking really forward to it for a little bit of history. This is my brother, and we've been working hard on all of this, and he's been working on it a lot harder than I have, or a lot longer than I have. But I'm happy to be here, and hope everyone will like and subscribe to the video, and go check out the book and read it. Hopefully, we'll have some other things for you, and thank you for checking us out.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay. Alrighty.